After many years away from their homeland, some of God's people had now returned to Jerusalem, where they had rebuilt God's temple. When Artaxerxes was king of Persia, a scribe named Ezra set out for Jerusalem. He wanted to teach God's law to the people. He had a letter from the king and lots of silver and gold to be used for buying animals for offerings at the temple. Many other people came with Ezra, and he prayed that God would protect them all on their journey. And the hand of God was upon them, and he did deliver them from all who tried to attack. When Ezra arrived in Jerusalem, he was told that some of the Jewish people were mixing with the Canaanites and other people who didn't worship the Lord. Ezra tore his clothes and pulled his hair when he heard this, and spread out his hands to God in prayer. "I am ashamed, my God," he said, "for our sins rise up like a mountain. We have disobeyed your commandments." Then the people with Ezra began to cry bitterly and confessed their sins to God. Ezra called all the people together, and they sat in the rain in front of the temple. And all the people who had married foreign women confessed their sin and repented and said they would keep themselves separate from those who worshipped other gods. Back in the city of Susa in the Persian Empire, a Jew named Nehemiah was cupbearer to King Artaxerxes. He asked how all the people were who had gone back to Jerusalem. "There is great trouble," he was told, "and the wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates destroyed." Nehemiah wept and mourned when he heard this, and prayed to the Lord. When he took wine into the king, he looked very sad. "Why is your face sad?" asked the king. "The city of my fathers lies in ruins," Nehemiah told him. "What do you want me to do?" the king asked. Nehemiah prayed to the God of heaven, and then said, "Please send me there so that I may rebuild it." And the king allowed Nehemiah to go to Jerusalem, for God's good hand was upon him. When Nehemiah arrived, he inspected the broken walls and burned down gates. Then he told the men that God's hand had been upon him, and said, "Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem." They got ready for the work, but 3 men called Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem made fun of them. But Nehemiah said, "The God of heaven will give us success." The people worked in different groups and repaired all the gates and started building up the walls. Sanballat was angry and said, "What are these feeble Jews doing?" Tobiah said, "Even if a fox goes on that wall, it will fall down." When they saw that the work was going well, these wicked men made a plan to attack the Jews and stop the work. But Nehemiah prayed to the Lord and put people on guard with swords and spears and bows. "Do not be afraid," he said to the people. "Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome." The builders kept weapons with them while they worked, and God stopped the enemy's plans from working. Nehemiah was a good governor of the land. He stopped the men in Judah from treating poor people badly. He was generous and didn't take things from the people like previous governors had done. But Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem tried to do him harm. They made up lies, saying that Nehemiah was planning to become a king and rebel against King Artaxerxes. And they sent a man to trick Nehemiah, who said, "Sanballat and Tobiah are coming to kill you, run away." They wanted Nehemiah to be scared and act wrongly, but Nehemiah didn't listen. And even though they kept on trying to bring him harm, the wall was finished through the help of the Lord. This story shows how God answers his people's prayers. In difficult times, Ezra and Nehemiah kept on praying to the Lord, and God protected them from their enemies and helped them to finish their important work. And through Jesus, we too can pray to the Lord and receive his strength and help.